Okay, so we are into this. We are looking at surfacing some details about how the council decision making actually happens. The problem is that the council does publish quite a lot of information about how they're making decisions. There are minutes of every meeting, there is now actually recordings of every meeting, and we discovered most of us didn't know that existed yet because there's really bad kind of user experience of finding any of this information on the council website. So we start by having a look at the council website. They have a list of committee meetings, list of the different committees and committee meetings, and this comes through. I think this one has 14 committees. There is another list of committee meetings, a list of committees. This one has 28 committees. I'm not entirely sure which ones are which, or this is just an alphabetical list of them, so you have no idea what they actually are doing. There's some fun ones like the Children and Modification Funds Committee that knows what that does. But if you go through and look at it, you can actually find them. Within that list of committees, there are some that are very similarly named but do different things. Because I think there's a Risk Audit and Performance Committee and a Performance Risk and Audit Committee that just appear on the list the same ones. Once you actually go down and drill into the details, you find that one is actually for auditing what the council's doing, and one is for looking at how the council interacts with the local health and social care partnership. But you have to drill in quite a bit before you can find that detail. They just appear on the list with very similar looking names, and I have been poking at this all weekend, I still can't remember which one is which, but I'm actually looking at it until I poke into more details. So we want to make some proof, and let's do that. I'll back up a little bit. That one again. So the council also publishes this structure, which is titled the council structure, and the council doesn't appear on it at all. This is just the executive bit of the council, so the officers and the rest of it actually employed to do stuff rather than the decision making part of it. So I thought that was slightly amusing that the structure of the council doesn't include the council. So we spent a while looking at what we could do and trying to figure out a lot of this from the website and what could make it easier. So this is what we said we wanted to work on. We started sketching out things of how it would actually look like. So there is the council of all of the elected representatives at the top. It splits out into different committees that sort of things. And when looking at a list of committees, we discovered that not all of them are actually just Aberdeen City Council. There's some committees that have overlap with Aberdeen Shire and external people where they're bringing in external experts or various other things to like there's some of them have representatives from police and health board, which I think is called something else, not health board anymore, but I can't remember exactly what it is. So there's different structure of different committees, and we were wanting to try and surface some of that and bring the big long list of committees into a bit of a more structured category type system. So first step for actually doing that was to get all the data out of the council website, which isn't terribly helpful. Their website is just all the text that we had to try straight through. So I think I can hand over to somebody else to explain what we're looking at here, but it's called to your website.
Thank you, Rob. Yes, so part of the things we identified was, again, identify what categories of data do we have. So both the structured and unstructured data. And so sort of help us understand what this data looks like. For the structured one, for instance, we've got a visualization showing the list of committees, councillors, as well as the parties, distribution as well. But that's not all, right? So there's also a bunch of unstructured data, videos, text, and a lot of other things, right, that we needed to also deal with by web scraping there. And yeah, here is how we've tried to make sense of the data itself, converting them to a readable format of JSON, so that makes it easy for the developer to make sense out of those data and consume them on the front-end side. We'll now switch over to the demo. Yeah, so this is what we've come up with in terms of making sense of the data. One key thing we want to ensure is accessibility of the data for every regular user, right, on the street, for instance, who is able to, one, make sense of where the council data sets are. As you can see, there's a count of the number of committees, right, under each categories of committees, as is mentioned. We've got about 20 committees, so it makes sense to sort of collapse everything so that way, if I'm interested in housing, for instance, I can just quickly go to city housing and then I'll have a list of the breakdown of committees under each category. And the same also applies, and then for accessibility also, there is some iconography there for people who know with accessibility issues to be able to view what is in there. And if you scroll down a little bit, okay, go down to the map. Yeah, so we're also going to pull the data points, showing the various words as well as the relevant data for each one. And then if you then go back to what the experience will look like for a user as they engage a category, let's say licensing. So if you go to the licensing, for instance, what you see is a list of committees, and for the purpose of accessibility, which is making that data more accessible to user, you will see there the donor chart showing the list of members, or rather taking account of the members, the number of members in each committee. So you can hover on the donor chart, you can hover your mouse on the donor chart, you get to see, for instance, the number of committees, or number of members rather, for each committee. What we are hoping to do, from here is to be able to extend that further, to see the meetings, for instance, a list of meetings for each committee, and have a trend also of the decision-making process generally to make this more accessible to the users. And I think for final wrap-up, I'll pass it over to. So Steve, anything? Yeah, so questions?
What happens next?
Yes, so I think I answered that. So what happens next is we want to ensure that you can still go a bit more granular than what you're seeing right now. And by going granular, I mean, for instance, how do you get to see the list of meetings on a very high level for each committee? That helps a common user who is coming to view the committee, for instance, to see here are the meetings, here are the date speakers, to choose different dates and then view the meetings.
That part's fine, but when does that happen? How does that happen? When are you guys meeting next to carry this forward?
Yeah, so I think the key thing here is to ensure that we keep being in sync together, right? To ensure that there's continuity, of this project, and even much better, maybe make it open source, to allow others to also contribute to this.
Okay. Sounds good. Any other questions?
So since we've got a councillor in the room, it'd be interesting to know if there'd be interest from the council and the councillors to develop this further, this idea of proof of concept that we've got. Over to you.
Yeah, I think it's fabulous, but yeah, that's a decision for a committee. On the next week.